Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This week I felt led to share about how drawing closer to God will help us find our purpose and identity in this season of our lives. I spent some time reading about the life of Dr. Martin Luther King. He may have died at a young age, but he accomplished more than we could ever accomplish in our lifetime. He was very well educated for a preacher. Not only did he complete his master's, but also a PhD in theology by the age of 27. He won the Nobel Peace Prize for his dedication to see all men be treated as equal. He was a good speaker and had a platform to preach which grew more and more as he became an active fighter for the civil rights movement in America. No doubt that this man fulfilled the will of God for his life. Like Moses, he was chosen to lead the people to freedom, and like Paul, he was persecuted for preaching the truth in love and peace and not hate towards one another. He held on to his godly principles whether he was at the White House or saying his famous speech, "I had a dream." I found myself glorifying God when I saw what this man did in the short amount of time he had here on earth. He truly is a history maker. And just like Dr. Martin Luther King's life, I believe the church is to go out into the world where we will get to see revival take place. Just because you are not called to be a preacher behind the pulpit doesn't mean that God cannot use you. He needs people out there in entertainment, in government, in sports, in every sphere. I look at how we get to appreciate frontline workers today like janitors, grocery clerks, security guards, postmen, doctors and nurses, and many more. All these individuals play a huge role, especially in this time with pandemic. We get to appreciate them so much more. I remember a time before the pandemic, I was at the grocery store, and before the cashier started to ring my order, he reached out to give me props. So for those of you who don't know props, he literally reached out his kind of a fist, and typically I was like not sure, I did not expect this, so I was to respond to it. So it's in a way of greeting or saying hello, so an acknowledgement to the person saying, "Hey, I see you." So he simply just gave me props. It was so unexpected, but he made my day with this simple greeting to acknowledge that I was there, not just someone who he had to cash out, but as a person. I remember leaving the store feeling so positive, and I told myself that this young man was fulfilling the will of God for his life. He may just be a grocery clerk, but he deposited a gift into my soul that day. We think that we have to be behind the pulpit to preach the gospel, but we have to be reminded that we are the church. Everywhere you go, you bring kingdom influence with you wherever God has placed you. There are so many people around us who will never hear the gospel if we do not reach out to them to share it. Wherever God has you in this season of your life, know that you are meant to be salt and light in the world. Mark 9 verses 49 to 50 says, "For everyone will be seasoned with fire, and every sacrifice will be seasoned with salt. Salt is good, but if the salt has lost its flavor, how will you season it? Have salt in yourselves and have peace with one another." Matthew 5:14 and 16 also says, "You are the light of the world. A city that is set on a hill cannot be hidden. Let your light shine before men, that they may see your good works and glorify your Father in heaven." Believers are salt and light in the world as Jesus preached. We are difference makers in every area of our lives. Light stands out amidst darkness, and we have the strongest light in the world living inside of us. Shine your light before others so that they may see you and glorify God. That is what I learned from the life of Dr. Martin Luther King this week, and that is what I also know to be true in my life. Believe it or not, people are watching how you are living your life and observing what kind of Christian you are, whether in the workplace or if you're out and about in the supermarket, grabbing an Uber, going shopping, eating at a restaurant. People are watching even when you least expect it and learning from your life. And in the end, your life will be a testimony. This is what they get to see. This is what gets to be displayed, is what a Christian should be like. When they see you, they should see what a Christian should be like. So if you are always angry, responding in anger and bitterness towards others, or if you like to play games, you lie, you play trickery on others, or if you have unforgiveness in your heart towards others, this is what you are showing to people about yourself. If you are negative, if you are passive, lazy, people observe that and say, I don't want what they have. I don't. I'm sorry, no. And in the end, they cannot glorify God. But if we were to walk in obedience to God's word, forgive others when they hurt us, be positive instead of negative, sow into someone's life the way that young men sowed into my life that day. It was not a big gesture. It was a simple greeting to acknowledge me, but I knew just how powerful an act of kindness can be. There are many decisions we're making on a daily basis to either respond in a godly manner or in a worldly manner, so ungodly manner. I don't know about you, but I want to be salt in this world. I want my light to shine so that the name of God can be glorified. What does this have to do with drawing closer to God? Genesis 1:27 says, So God created man in his own image. In the image of God, he created him. Male and female, he created them. We were created in the image of God. And when you tune into what God is speaking over your life, you will begin to draw closer to him and start walking in the purpose and plans for your life. Romans 12:2 says, And do not be conformed to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind, that you may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of God. The Amplified says, And do not be conformed to this world any longer with superficial values and customs, but be transformed and progressively changed as you mature spiritually by the renewing of your mind, focusing on godly values and ethical attitudes, so that you may prove for yourselves what the will of God is, that which is good and acceptable and perfect in his plan and purpose for you. In order to understand who we are and what we were put on this earth to do, we have to understand our Creator, because our identity is found in him. I would not have been here today sharing this on YouTube had I not made the decision to draw closer to God. He has shown me who I am and what I was placed on this earth to do. A personal testimony about me was about a year ago. I was promoted at work, but before I even received this promotion, God was showing me the different things I was doing that he appreciated. And before I was even approached about the promotion, God had already spoken to me about why I should be promoted in the areas that I was excelling. God was already preparing me for what was to come. But had I not taken the step to draw him closer, I would not have seen, of course, maybe the promotion would have still come because of my efforts, but I can say I didn't really acknowledge the things I was doing, the things I was excelling in. I never took the time to acknowledge it myself until he started pointing the different things that I was doing around the office, that he was saying, this is honoring me. You're walking in a spirit of excellence. This is glorifying my name. You are doing things that I want to see you promoted. I want to see you go to the next level. So to be able to fulfill all that God has called you to do, you must partner with him and get to know who you are in him. This will help you become the salt and light in any area of your life. I was approached by my neighbor the other day to borrow eggs and flour, and I was so grateful that I was in the right place at the right time as she caught me heading out for a walk. She said to me that she was just waiting for my door to open so she could ask me. She also shared with me that in 12 years of living here, she had never approached someone besides one other person to ask to borrow anything. And I was so glad that she's a neighbor, a loving neighbor, just right across from me. As she heard my door open, that's when she was like, I'm gonna go and ask her if I can borrow something. And in return, she ended up buying me eggs and flowers. So I very, very much appreciate that gesture. I was just grateful to God that I was in the right place at the right time and be able to respond in a way that I feel should be a godly approach to this. So I was really, really grateful that through my life that she's able to see this person has something that's different, something that maybe she may want to have, also something that I have that I can maybe approach her the next time and we can talk about it more. So I was really, really grateful for that opportunity, and God made a way, opened the door for me to be able to be here and be in that mindset. Many years ago, I was totally not in this kind of mode of walking in God and holding those godly values. I was not in that. I was maybe doing things out of performance, which is something I'll talk about more in another video, but I definitely now know what it's like to be able to walk in a godly manner and show that towards others. Because of my faithfulness, God, she was able to see what a Christian should do or how a Christian should respond in a time of need, and it was so lovely. It's not that she needed it like she is in a dire situation. No, she was just, the grocery stores were closed. Thanksgiving Day, and that's so that the ingredients that she needed to be able to make schnitzel. I have to say that a couple of times. All right. What is your assignment? Where has God placed you in the season of your life? If you really want to maximize and reach the full potential of what God wants you to do in your life, then come to know him. God is standing at your doorstep, waiting for you to open your door to him and allow him to work in your life. Anything that was broken, submit that unto him and allow him to heal those areas. I think about the life of Joseph and how he was chosen to be a great man of God. He was sold into slavery by his own brothers, and never let go of God in his life. He was put into jail for doing the right thing. As he said in his own words, how can I do this great wickedness and sin against God? In the prison, he was ministering to the prisoners and came across two inmates, the chief butler and the chief baker from the king's palace. He interpreted their dreams, and it happened as he spoke. In due time, he also was promoted and made second in command to Pharaoh. He honored God even during the trials of his life, and he also never lost sight of the dream God had laid in his heart. I love that story about Joseph. So I encourage you, no matter what you have gone through in your life, that you take the step of faith and believe in God and allow him to show you where you should go. He has us in the palm of his hands and promises to never leave us nor forsake us. How do I draw closer to God? Romans 12:1 says, I beseech you therefore, brethren, by the mercies of God, that you present your bodies a living sacrifice, holy, acceptable to God, which is your reasonable service. In the Amplified, it says, therefore, I urge you, my brothers and sisters, by the mercies of God, to present your bodies, dedicating all of yourselves, set apart as a living sacrifice, holy and well-pleasing to God, which is your rational, logical, intellect act of worship. Where does this start, you may ask? Where? It begins in your heart. Submit your life unto him and withhold nothing back. Give him everything with your whole heart and watch him work in you. God has allowed me to deal with me. He has not allowed me to deal with others. The change had to come from me personally. He allowed me to deal with all sorts of things: unforgiveness, self-centeredness, pride, rebelliousness, laziness, passiveness, and more. He will help you find yourself by drawing closer to him and letting him work in you. When you make the decision to involve him in every area of your life, here are some practical steps. Take some time to be thankful and grateful for something he has done in your life. Something as simple as waking up in the morning, breathing this air that we all have, is a gift to be grateful for. Seeing the sunrise every morning and experiencing every day with him, that is something to be grateful for. Soak in his presence and find a place where you can quiet yourself in worship and praise. So soak in his presence. Take some time to be quiet and listen to him speak to you. It should be a two-way conversation and not just a one-way. It's a two-way side to a conversation. God will speak to you, but you have to allow him. Quiet yourself, and quieting yourself means quieting your thoughts, your inner thoughts. Allow him to speak to you, and once you will know. It's a hard thing to do, but one thing is, when he starts to speak to you, you will know his voice, and learn to know what is God's voice and what is not God's voice. Because sometimes our own thoughts or other thoughts may come in that are not God himself speaking, but allow him to speak to you, and finding that quiet time. Read the Bible and get to know God's word. Let him minister to you through his words. He has a ton of words written in that Bible. We get to hold on to it. It is like my friend. I cannot live without my Bible. When reading the Bible, do not just see these as words or stories, but put yourselves in their stories, in their shoes, and try to understand the deeper meaning behind each passage. So don't make it just, oh, I read Psalms 23. Man, when I read Psalms 23, I get to say, the Lord is my shepherd. You know what a shepherd does? He oversees the sheep. So that makes me a sheep. So you get to see the Bible in a different perspective, and you get to see the meaning behind how God put you here on this earth. What is your purpose? What are the values that we speak of? Why do we say these things? You get to see the deeper meaning behind that. The last thing, let God work in you. Bring those burdens unto Him, and He will make them light. I encourage you to just submit all of you to Him. Submit everything to Him, and He will make those burdens light. Anything you may be dealing with, any circumstances or situations that you may be facing, trials that you may be facing, bring it to Him. He will work in you, and out of you, you will be able to see change. So if you follow these simple steps and make this a lifestyle, not only will you begin to see your life change effortlessly, but you will also see the life of others around you change because of the example you have set before them, and they will, in the end, glorify God. I will leave it at that for now. May God bless you and keep you safe during this time, and may His face shine upon you, just as that beautiful song says. A blessing to you all. Have a wonderful day.